Hey, what is going on, guys? RvzStealth here, and in today's video we are going to be updating the list on the best underplayed or sleeper OP champions right now. So this list is completely different from the last one I did. I think it was 2 patches ago. So with that being said, guys, let's get started. So first up is going to be Sion support. When I did make my support video, a lot of you guys asked me why isn't Sion support here, and I decided to put him in this video because I actually do think he is pretty strong and he's definitely very underrated right now. He does have very strong crowd control, and when you take a look at support tank champions, usually the supports that do have good crowd control and have pretty good engage are the best tank supports, and Sion can definitely put out some very nice crowd control and just lock down a target really easily with the CC from his E, his Q, and his ultimate. He's got really strong engage with his ult. His level 6 all-in is definitely one of the best for any supports in the game, especially if he is playing against a squishy support, because we are seeing a lot of squishy supports being played right now. Soraka is very meta, Janna is also picked quite a bit right now. Sion can definitely do very well in those matchups as long as he can stay even in the laning phase for the first few levels and wait till he gets level 6, then he can definitely do very well. He does have a very strong roaming kit as well, so if you get ahead with Sion support, if you take the enemy's tower, then definitely look to go for a roam mid, look to go for a roam top, because you can get your other lanes snowballing very nicely if you can do that as well. Now, a few cons to Sion support are that he is weaker against some range supports in the game. So one pick that comes to mind is Morgana. Morgana can definitely do a very good job at denying Sion what he wants to do with her black shield, and his ultimate can definitely be a little bit hard to land if you are new to Sion. Next up is going to be my go-to pick right now, and I do think she's very strong and very underrated, and that champion is Talia. So Talia only has a 3% pick rate for the mid lane and under a 1% pick rate for the top lane, but right now I'm pretty sure my win rate on her is around 80%, and I've played around 15 games, so I think I've won 12 games, I've lost 3 on her, and I just think she's a really strong champion if you know how to play her correctly. The first few games on her, you're definitely going to have to get used to her kit a little bit because it is definitely very unique, but once you can get her kit down, once you understand how to play her, then I think she can be one of the best champions, if not the best champion in the game right now. So she does have a very strong early game. You can play her in either the mid lane or the top lane. I've been playing her mostly in the top lane because the matchups right now in the top lane are in Talia's favor. If she's going up against a melee top lane champion and she gets her full Q off on them at level 1 or level 2, it's going to chunk them to below half HP, or not below half HP, but around half HP. And then after that, if she does take Ignite, which I've been doing on my Talia top lane, you can go for a nice level 2 all-in on your opponent, and they usually don't even expect the damage. Getting a full Q off on the opponent, following that up with your E and Ignite will usually net you the kill most of the time, so just be sure to go aggressive when you are playing Talia in the laning phase. She's also a very strong roaming champion because of her ultimate. Her level 6 ultimate, it doesn't have the best range on it, but once she does hit level 11, it increases the range by quite a bit, so you can definitely look to roam really well once you do hit 11 as Talia. She does have very strong zoning potential in teamfights with her E and her W, and her kiting potential is absolutely insane too. Once you do get Rylai's on her, it's going to be really hard for the enemies to escape or engage on you because you're just going to have so much slows, and your E is going to provide a slow, and you've also got the knockback with your W. A few cons to Talia are that she does not have any escape, so if you are pushing out in the laning phase, then make sure you do ward up so you don't end up falling behind. And she also is quite a bit harder to play than some of the other champions in the game, so practice her in normals before you do head into ranked with her. Next up is Twitch Jungle. So yes, this is Twitch Jungle and not Twitch AD Carry. I think that Twitch Jungle is probably one of the most underrated jungle picks right now. He's very strong because he's got great synergy with the Blood Razor item. Once you do pick that up on Twitch, and once you get a few other items being Yomu's and Runane's, your teamfight damage is just absolutely insane. He also does have very strong level 2 ganks. I would definitely recommend going for a level 2 gank on Twitch, especially if the enemy team is playing like a snowball reliant top lane champion. You'll see in the background gameplay here, guys, I was going up against a Riven, so I knew that if I could just get a kill on this Riven, like try to get first blood on her, then she's probably going to be tilted and she's probably not going to be able to do anything for the rest of the game. And because I did end up getting first blood on her, she just was pretty useless and the Nasus got ahead and we were just able to, I wouldn't say we won the game because of that gank, but it definitely helped us win the game a lot easier. Once you do get your core items on Twitch, definitely look to start team fighting. As long as you can position correctly in team fights and use your long range with your ultimate, then you're going to get a lot of damage off while also staying really safe. A few cons to Twitch jungle though are that he can get invaded in the early game. He is not a strong 1v1 duelist champion in the early game, so just make sure you do ward up. You don't want to fight the enemy jungler at least like till you hit level 6. Because when you do hit level 6, you've got your ultimate, you'll probably have your Blood Razor finished by then, but pre-6, his damage is not very good, especially if he's going up against someone like a Kha'Zix, and he does not have a gap closer either, so you do have to know how to position well with him in team fights to be successful on him. Next up is Rammus jungle. So right now, with a lot of the meta jungle picks and a lot of the meta picks being champions that want to dive your back line and want to get onto your AD carry, Rammus is actually a very underrated and a very strong pick right now. We're seeing a lot of Kha'Zix, Hecarim, Volibear, and Rammus does really well against those picks. If they try to dive his AD carry, he can just use his taunt and they're pretty much useless. Like if Kha'Zix tries to dive the back line, Rammus just points and clicks, gets the taunt off on him, and because Kha'Zix is a squishy champion, he's gonna be dead most of the time before he even gets out of the taunt. He does have pretty strong ganks in the early game too. He's got the great mobility with his Q and he does have the taunt with his E, so he can definitely get a nice snowball going in the early game. He's a really tanky champion too, and because like the more armor you get with Rammus, the more damage you're gonna do, and also the more tanky you're going to get. So if the enemy team does lock a heavy AD comp, then I would definitely look to pick Rammus and have him up in priority for your junglers. A few cons to Rammus are that he is pretty weak if his team falls behind or if he falls behind. When you're playing Rammus, you want to either be trying to peel for your AD carry or diving onto the back line trying to get the taunt off on the enemy AD carry, and if you don't have your tank stats to do that, then you're probably just going to get bursted down really quickly. He's also not the best early game duelist champion either, so champions right now like Kha'Zix can abuse him a little bit in the early game. As long as you don't end up like giving up first blood or you don't die in the early game, then you can do really well against someone like a Kha'Zix come mid to late game, but you can definitely be invaded on in the early game and you can definitely be killed before you do get to that mid to late game. He also is not the best if the enemy does have like a heavy AP composition. So if you're in champion select and you see the enemy lock someone like a Lissandra top lane and they lock an Orianna mid lane, then I would not pick Rammus in that situation because he's not going to be able to build that armor and therefore he's not going to be able to do as much damage as he would like to, and he's not going to be able to get as tanky as he would like to. And to round out this top 5, I have Quinn for top lane. So right now, Quinn does have some very favorable matchups in the top lane. We're seeing a lot of melee picks like Darius, Aurelia, and Yasuo being played in the top lane. And if Quinn can play those lanes correctly, then she can definitely win them like most of the time. If those champions do try to engage on Quinn, what she can do is she can use her blind, it will deny them vision, and then she can kite away with her E. So she's pretty much guaranteed to win that trade, and she's just a very strong pick against a lot of the melee picks right now. She does have a great laning phase, so what you want to do on Quinn is just try to stomp lane and then try to roam to either mid or bot lane. Once you do get the enemy's top lane tower, you definitely want to roam on her because if you can get your lanes ahead and get a nice snowball going in the early game, then you can end the game before the 25 or 30 minute point really easily if you can do well with her. A few cons to Quinn are that she does not scale very well into the late game compared to a lot of the other top lane champions. She does not have the best team fight either for... A few cons to Quinn are that she does not scale as well into the late game as some of the other top lane champions because her team fight is definitely not the best, and she also does not have a dash, so just make sure you do ward in the early game if you are pushing to the enemy's tower as Quinn. You do have your W, so you don't really have to ward all the time, but if your W is on cooldown, then you should definitely be looking to ward with her. So that is going to be all for this video, guys. Be sure to try out these champions if you have yet to this patch. They're definitely very strong picks if you can play them correctly. And also let me know in the comment section below of some sleeper OP picks or some underrated picks that you guys are playing right now. So thanks for watching, guys. Have an awesome day, and I will see you in my next video.